welcome here to a very special wake-up call with Dan Tortora. I am picture in picture with Ryan Birchard here of the Auburn Maroons history for Auburn High School in Central and Upstate New York, who went on to Niagara County Community College, and as we were talking about off the air, was committed for a while to UConn, then committed to Oregon. But guess what? He's going to the majors instead, to the Milwaukee Brewers. So awesome opportunity. Here in this Central New York spotlight, I'm all about Central and Upstate New York. And, this is where I was born and raised, North Side, Syracuse. And it's been incredibly important to me. It kind of just grew over these last 19 plus years of always keeping a connection to my hometown in my broadcasting career and wanting to see people in this community, including student athletes, grow and blossom and succeed, and to put an eye on Central and Upstate New York. So we started the hashtag support CNY at the beginning of COVID. And we also started Recruit New York. And so the Recruit NY hashtag as well. It's so very vital to me that our men and women here in the community get eyes and ears connected to them. So Ryan, I'm so happy to be here with you today because you are an example and a giant beacon of hope to people that everything that we talk about here on the show about recruiting Central New York, Upstate New York, the state of New York for any sport is vital. It's important. And there's student athletes here that are so good, and beyond everything, they're good people. So welcome to Wake Up Call. And thank you for proving us right here in the state of New York.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Pleasure.
So Ryan, for you, this has been a journey, but I want to go back to the beginning for you. How did you fall in love with baseball?
Sports in my family, it's a big deal. I started playing football, baseball, and basketball. Played all of those, so I stayed busy throughout the whole year. And then played all those all the way up through like 7th, 8th grade. And after that, I just decided to start playing baseball solely. So
you said you played a bunch of different sports, but you eventually shifted to baseball. What was it about baseball that you said to yourself, okay, I'm playing a bunch of different things, I'm enjoying them, but this has to be my focus? Why did you turn to baseball specifically and key in on that sport alone?
I just enjoyed it more. Nothing really, no traumatic events in any other sport happened to make me go away from those. I just enjoyed baseball the most and thought, that's just what I enjoyed. That's what I wanted to do. That's really it for baseball.
So you're in Auburn, you're playing there for high school, playing for the Maroons. Bring me to your time in Auburn and what it meant for you to be on that team.
No, yeah, it was a good time. Great group of guys. Coach T's great. Just a great group. Everybody, we got a great home field. It's a good time. It was a little while ago. It was good.
What'd you learn from being there? What'd you take away from Auburn?
It's just like a family setting. Everybody's behind everybody. Everybody wants to have everybody do good, especially themselves and everybody else around them. Parents support all the other kids. It's good.
So we look at coming up in Central and Upstate New York and being a student athlete. Did you have a chip on your shoulder coming from the state of New York? Did you feel like you had to do more or showcase yourself more or try to get out to more places? Did you ever feel that?
Yeah, for sure. I know. In my opinion, I think, some people may just look the other way when they see a kid from New York. You think about baseball, you think of the kids from down south, out west. Weather's always nice. I've always been told a lot of people in the baseball world think the kids from Florida, you could say down south or out west, are years ahead of us. Because they can play year round. They're always outside. A little bit of chip on my shoulder.
So how do we change that? How do we change that belief that a bunch of people carry when it comes to New York not getting the respect that it deserves?
I think this goes to show, there's talent up here. Obviously, I got drafted by the Brewers here, and the Brewers had a first rounder out of New York as well. Josh North. I'm not sure if I'm saying the last name correctly. But just goes to show that there is talent here, and I don't know why people might look the other way when there's true talent up here.
So we look at your world as a right-handed pitcher. Did you always, from being a little kid, you always want to pitch? Did you have another position that you had dreamt of playing before getting on the mound? Bring me into when you started to really fall in love with pitching.
Well, I just always, to be honest, I just always kind of threw harder than a lot of other people. And I'd say I was a thrower. I don't know where the ball was going. It was always hard, but it was all over the place. And I'd say my last 2 years at N Trip is kind of where I locked it in of being a pitcher more than a thrower.
So, like you said, being a thrower, you knew you were going to throw hard. You didn't know exactly where it was going. How did you train yourself to continue to throw hard, but to position and direct the ball? Bring me into kind of your journey of being able to target better?
Yeah, I think a lot of it goes into, in my opinion, it's just a lot of catch play, just playing catch well and trying to hit people in the chest the whole time. Just playing catch, and then hopefully that translates to the mound. And for me, it did translate to the mound. I know I do have my fair share of walks for sure, especially at the beginning of this year. But I was able to cut down in the second half, and yeah.
How do you adjust? Like you said, when you had your fair share of walks at the first portion of this past season at Niagara County Community College, how did you shift gears in the second portion of the season? What did you change? How do you adjust to minimizing those things? Because I think it's one thing to be a pitcher who could do things well, and it's even better to be a pitcher who can make a mistake and then be able to transition yourself and make those tweaks that people might not see with the naked eye, but that you see in your game.
Yeah, it's just getting ahead early, attacking with a fastball, getting ahead early, and then once you're ahead, you can kind of fool around with hitters, throw off speed, even if it's not for a strike, you can just throw it for them to see it, maybe get a chase, and not have the walks, and just, like I said, get ahead with the fastball. And yeah, maybe sometimes I'll take a little bit off the fastball, slow it down just to get it in there for a strike. But yeah, that's what I do.
And coming here from Ryan Birchard on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in the Central and Upstate New York Spotlight, as he is going from the Auburn Maroons to Niagara Community College, as well, Niagara County Community College, into the Milwaukee Brewers. The choice to go to Niagara County Community College, Niagara NCCC, what was it about that? Because as I was telling you off the air, I just had sitting in with me in studio just a few days ago, Bryce Zaccaro, who was going to go to East Stroudsburg and then transition to Niagara County Community College. He gave me his reasons. Why did you go?
Yeah, I think Coach Kling, Coach CJ, Coach Bex, Coach Todd, the whole group over there, they buy into you, and after you really feel that they bought into you, you buy into them. And, Kling's a great guy. He has a ton of connection. Coach CJ has a ton of connection. Those are the pitching guys over there. And yeah, I'd say you just got to buy into the program. They have a good track record of sending kids off and then doing well. So yeah, I think a lot of kids looking if they can't go to a 4-year right away and they need to go to junior college, yeah, they got the coaching out there for sure.
And why do you think, like you said, you talked about the coaching and having the coaches out there to help and whatnot. Why do you believe it's just been a good transitionary place to get looked at by the majors? Because when I was speaking with Bryce Zaccaro, he said, hey, I want to go to Niagara County Community College because I believe I can go to that school and get drafted, even though it's a 2-year school, not a 4-year. He's like, I believe I could go there and find my way into the Major League Baseball draft. And you obviously did. What's going on at Niagara County Community College that you feel like, from the teaching and from, what is essentially happening and how they teach or what they do, the secret sauce that if you go to Niagara, there is an opportunity to get noticed by the majors?
It's Crone with Kling. I put a lot of it on Kling, Coach Klingersmith. We call him Kling. He knows a lot of people, and if he thinks you're good enough, obviously he's gonna make those texts, he's gonna make those calls and say, here, come check out this guy. And I said, that's what he did for me. And all it takes is one guy. And for me, it was kind of, beginning of the year, one guy, and then one guy turned to two, two turned to five, five turned to 10. Just, people hear, you get buzz out there. People talk for sure. That's what I think. He starts out, he'll start you out, he knows people know people. And I think that's how it happens out there.
Did you have a sense of that before committing to Niagara County Community College? Did you kind of see like, okay, this could be a good bridge for me to not go too far away from home and still get looked at by Major League Baseball? Was that a part of your decision making? Was there connection that they already had?
Yeah, for sure. I know there's been a couple people drafted out of there. I know Kling told me he thinks that I could, and whether I believe that, I obviously I did a little bit. I didn't believe it fully. Obviously I'm a big guy, so it hasn't happened till it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously everything worked out, and Kling said it's gonna happen, and it did.
So you had, like you said, you had committed for a while to UConn, and then eventually switched to Oregon. Bring me through the recruitment process of finishing up at Niagara County Community College. What was it about UConn, and then what shifted you to Oregon?
Yeah, so funny story. UConn, it was a problem with like baseball or anything. Me not wanting to go there. I had trouble with transferring credits in. I'd have to take a couple summer classes in order to go out there, and I just wasn't willing to take the summer classes. And then my agent, Mike Banano, was like, hey, I think I know some schools that you could probably get in with what you have right now. And it's like, okay, so that's why we made a decision to decommit. And yeah, and Oregon, Coach Waz, he just would always talk to me. They were out in a regional game in the airport, right? And they just won, and they're going to super regionals, and I got a FaceTime from them, and they were talking to me nonstop. If I'm on your mind after you just won a regional game to go to super regionals, especially at their home stadium, obviously, they could see me there. Obviously, I'm not going there anymore. I talked to Coach Wise, and he said, if I ever need a place to work out in the off season on the West Coast, I'm always welcome, because he said, oh, once a duck, always a duck. I was a duck for a short time, but yeah, it was that's it.
I mean, how difficult and dicey is this process? Because you come out of high school from Auburn, you got to figure out where you're going to go. You go to community college, Niagara County Community College. You finish up there, and you have a couple of years under your belt. You're trying to get drafted, but then you're also trying to find a school in case. So all of these moving parts are happening, and if you don't get drafted, then you're going to be a duck. Or if you do get drafted, but maybe you don't like the situation, you could still be a duck. And then, like you said, you decommitted from UConn. So as you're trying to kind of keep everything together, you're a young man. You're not that old here. I mean, share with everybody how old you are right now today.
Actually, my birthday was yesterday. I turned 20 yesterday, but I got drafted as 19-year-old.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess you could say I'm kind of young for my grade if you're looking at it in a school standpoint. I know a lot of guys are usually 22. They're not this young and going into their junior year of college. But yeah, it's hard to because I'm not a fan of the recruiting process, to be honest. It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of people. It's a business on the outside of a game. People have to understand that it's a business. Coaches are, they want you. They're going to talk to you all the time. They're going to call you. They're going to say things like, we're better than them, blah, blah, blah. It's just, they're just trying to get you. And I think you just got to go with that kind of where your heart tells you to go, where you're going to play, where, people want you the most. Not just don't go to the big name. I know it might look like I went to the big name, but like I said, Coach Wise called me and talked to me all the time. It was hard to say no to them after, they put hours in the phone talking to me, just giving me attention.
And that's, as the thing, speaking here with Ryan Birchard from Auburn, the Maroons, on to Niagara County Community College, and now to Major League Baseball on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in the Central and Upstate New York Spotlight, as we continue to spotlight our student athletes of all different sports here in our community and to give them a place to tell their story because they deserve it. Ryan, you going through all of this, like you said, it was so hard, but because there's so many of these moving parts and things going on. Like you said, you got drafted as a 19-year-old. Happy
Hmm.
belated birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you're welcome. And so now you're 20 at the time that we're talking. You're 20 years old and you have all of these things moving at the same time. You're getting recruited, you're trying to find the right place, you're doing your education side, you're training for baseball, you're trying to get into the majors. How do you keep all of this stuff straight as a 19 going into 20-year-old? How do you handle the fact that this is kind of like an earthquake? There's like tectonic plates that are just moving and you're trying to keep yourself level headed. How did you stay level headed through this whole process?
It's just kind of going taking one thing at a time. You know, you gotta get your schoolwork done. You gotta put time in the gym and time for baseball if you really want it that bad. Unfortunately, you can't just play for school. You can't just play baseball. Unfortunately, you got to go to school. And in order to move on from the junior college level, especially for me, you know, I had to get good grades to go on to the next school because grades was always a problem for me. I'd say out of high school. That's kind of why I had to go junior college out of high school. It definitely had to swallow some pride. Going to junior college, knowing I probably could have gone to a 4-year out of high school, but I wouldn't have changed it for the world. Obviously, if that was the case, I wouldn't even been in the draft talks this year, really, because I would have to have done 3 years at a 4-year. But going to junior college, you could get drafted for any of your 2 years. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, getting that opportunity. And you had, as a sophomore pitcher, you were named an NJCAA Baseball Division III first team All American with the Thunderwolves. What did that mean to you to have the opportunity that as you finished up your time in Niagara for Niagara County Community College to be named a first team All American?
No, yeah, for sure. I know last year I wish I could have. So coming into this year, it was something I definitely wanted. Um, Last year, I don't think I qualified for the innings. You have to have a certain amount of innings to qualify for it. But yeah, definitely coming into this year is something on my mind saying, you know, it would be definitely be nice. It wouldn't hurt at all to be named all first team All American all together, but first team, awesome.
And we're seeing all of these awesome things that happened. Your coach at Niagara, Klinger Smith, earned his 600th career victory at the NJCAA Division III World Series in his 17th season. And at the time of getting his 600th, he had 600 wins, 213 losses, and one tie. I know you talked about your coaching staffs and people that have meant a lot to you, but to be a part of his 600th victory and to be a part of it in the world, we're looking at the World Series for it. I mean, you finished up your career as a first team All American. You finished up your career deep in the postseason. You also finished up your career with aiding your coach to getting to 600 victories.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things to be said about how you're leaving the Thunderwolves, and I'd love for you to speak on that.
Yeah, so Kling, he's all in. Once season starts, he's all in. You know, he's all about winning. He likes to win. If he expects everybody on the team, he expects to win. You know, we don't expect to lose. Obviously, both my years, we went to the World Series. It came short both years, unfortunately. But you know, just to say it, we've gone. I've gone 2 years in a row. He's been there 3 years in a row. But yeah, he expects to win. He wants to win. He only brings in my opinion, people that want to win and will help him win. It's all about winning. Once the season starts, right when we go into Florida, he's locked in for sure, and it's all he can't sleep at night sometimes. I know he can't if we play bad or lose. I know he can't sleep. But yeah, he's a winner. Yeah, it's good stuff for sure. It's a winning community out there. Every sport wins usually.
And for you, I mean, going to, like you said, in 2 seasons at Niagara County Community College, going to back-to-back World Series for NJCAA Division III, like you said, albeit coming up short, to be in the World Series for the nation and getting past regionals back-to-back. They did it as a three-peat overall. For you to be a part of all that history when it comes to getting into the postseason, getting into regionals, and then going from there into the World Series, for both of your seasons there. I know you'd love to hoist a trophy, but not a lot of teams get to be in the World Series. So I'd love for you to speak on why this Niagara County Community College overall team was so good and what it was like for you to be a part of it, because obviously being on the mound, you had a big part in making sure that this team advanced to the World Series, especially coming up, with what you did this year and the success that you had on the mound to move the team forward with 12 strikeouts that we had going back to the end of May.
Yeah, no, like I'm just gonna kind of go off what I just said. It's just winning. Everybody expects to win. It's going down there. Like I said again, we came up short. We got the regional banners to hoist. They'll be up in the gym forever. I know that means a lot to Kling, just winning regionals. But yeah, they should be there again this year. They'll be hunting for that. They lost too big. A lot of guys, especially Morris was supposed to come back. He ended up getting drafted, so I'm pretty sure he'll be taking that. But yeah, just to play off what I said previously, everybody expects to win. Everybody expects to be in the World Series. Expect to win regionals. Usually comes down to us or Herkimer in the regionals. And unfortunately, my freshman year, they got that large bid and ended up winning the whole thing after we beat them in regionals. Yeah. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, Ryan, what's your advice? Like you said, with all the success and the winning under Coach Kling at Niagara County Community College for the Thunderwolves, what's your advice for guys like Bryce Sicaro and other pitchers that are going to be on the mound that you've stood on for the last 2 years?
Yeah, for sure. Kling's always going to be there for you. He's going to be your friend, but he's also going to be your coach when he needs to be your coach. He might yell at you from time to time. If you're good and he yells at you, you should know that he believes in you. He likes you. He just wants you to do well. But at the next level, you don't look at junior college as it's only junior college, it's not Division I. It's the coaching's hard. You're expected to do things. You're expected to perform. You're expected to always stay ready. I'd say you just always be ready. You stay in the weight room, stay on top of your stuff, stay on top of schoolwork. Especially in the season, you got to stay in the weight room for sure. You got to stay healthy. Especially out there, all winter we're in the weight room. It's like a cultural thing out there, the weight room. Everybody shows up. We don't have any like 6 a.m. workouts. It's usually at night, and you're usually there till about 12 o'clock at night. We're there late. But yeah, you just got, like I said, you got to buy into their program. Obviously, they have a good track record of sending kids off and kids doing well there. Yeah.
Do you think that, can we end the stigma for JUCO, for junior college? When we see somebody like yourself stepping forward, like you said, another teammate of yours in, Niagara County Community College is building that reputation of the talent that they have. What do you think about the stigma of junior college? And are you looking forward to showing just what it means to come from a junior college and be talented, and to end that feeling that you have to go to a D1 school?
Yeah, for sure. I was a big believer in that, you could say stigma out of high school. Thinking, I gotta go Division I. There's no way I'm gonna get drafted if I don't go to Division I. That's, and then after I started, after my first year, I'm like, okay. Some scouts were talking to me last year, and this year, to have 10, 11, 12 scouts at almost every game where it wasn't snowing or cold, it really shows, if you're good enough, they'll find you and they'll stay if they think you're good enough. They'll keep coming back. But yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of kids started going junior college just based off the fact that they don't have to stay at that 4 year for 3 years if they want to get there. If they believe they're good enough to start their professional career. So yeah, I think kids will start going junior college instead of 4 years just to, get drafted quicker and get their professional career going.
Speaking here with Ryan Birchard here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in the Central and Upstate New York Spotlight on the heels of him being drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers. When you said there were scouts that were coming out to see you, were they coming from major league teams all over the country? When did you get to speak with them and kind of look, and were you seeing the whole nation represented?
Yeah, for sure. I talked to more teams than, not, more, talked to more than half, obviously I got drafted by the Brewers, but I talked to a lot of teams, especially after my East season entry in the draft league. It really started to pick up there. I had people flying up to see me just to, get a look at me, and I would only throw an inning. But yeah, it definitely makes you feel good when you're getting those calls and texts and Zooms and whatever. It's a fun time. I just advise anybody going through it to enjoy it. Because for me, that's all over now. In the pro ball here soon, can't get drafted again. So I'd say if anybody's going through that, just enjoy it. I'd say it's for sure different. Like it's not like a recruiting process like college wise, but it's pretty similar. But I think it's way more fun than the college decision.
Well,
Because you don't get to pick; they get to pick you. It's yeah.
and I mean, you said it. You didn't really like the recruiting process in college, and you felt like maybe not everybody's being honest with you, and you had to kind of sift through it. But when you're speaking face to face or on Zoom or on the phone with these Major League Baseball teams, they're talking with you, and it's different because, like you said, you're choosing the college, the Major League Baseball team's choosing you, but you still have to sift through who's telling you the truth. Going through the recruitment process, as much as you didn't like it, did it teach you how to read between the lines? And do you feel like going through the recruiting process for college helped you to, in a way, know when a Major League Baseball team was being honest with you?
Yeah, so I would say so. It helped a little bit. The scouting for Major League Baseball, it's a lot of like, it's hard to explain. It's just two different levels of like recruiting, I'd say. Major like college is a lot of like, why don't you come here? Like blah blah blah. They're trying to win you over. Major League Scouting is a lot of just asking you questions, how you would like react to things. A lot of just like personal, like, what do your parents do? You got brothers, your sisters, blah blah blah. College coaches don't really care about that. they're just trying to sell you the program. It's like you get this glove, this shirt, blah blah. You know what I mean? All this stuff. But yeah, it's two different worlds, to be honest with you.
So when you get those questions from Major League Baseball scouts, were there any questions that stuck out to you that you thought was, something that you thought was weird or made you kind of stop and say, why would
Sure.
they ask that? Was there anything that kind of did that?
So yeah, so the amount of questionnaires and everything I had to fill out was like unbelievable, right? It's crazy, and they're not short either. They're like some of them are short, some of them are like 100 questions. I had to take like a couple of them are like 250 questions. It's a lot for sure. And then one question that really stuck out to me is a team. I can't remember what team asked, but someone said, "Do you put peanut butter in the fridge or the cupboard?" And I was just like. That and I was like, what? I was like, what? That's not even like I don't even know what kind of question that is, but that was one of their questions. Like I said, I can't remember what team it was, but yeah, that I'd say that's definitely a weird question.
Yeah. Well, where do you put it?
I put it in the cupboard.
So do I.
Yeah, I don't know who's putting in for it. I mean, I would assume that's the correct answer, but
Yeah. This is
I
the
don't
thing.
know.
Okay. So they say now I put peanut butter in the cupboard my whole life because that's what my parents did. That's what I learned. I'm obviously still alive at 37 years old. So I think I'm okay. But, I was talking to an old friend of mine. We're not friends anymore, and not because of this, but he was talking to me about it. And he's like, why didn't you put the peanut butter in the fridge? I said, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, it's butter. So my mom taught me, like, you got to put butter in, or, it'll get old and it won't be healthy because it's butter, it's dairy. So you got to put it in the fridge. And I was like, I don't think so. And I put it in the fridge one time just to like see, and it got this like oily stuff in the middle. And then you have to let it thaw out because then it gets cold. But my grandmother, who lived to be almost 101 years old, G Mama, God bless her in heaven, she used to have her butter in a butter dish. She never put it in the fridge. She put it inside of this like cow butter dish thing in the corner and left it there. So I mean, whether or not butter is supposed to be in the fridge is inconsequential, because the reality of the fact to me is if someone lives to be almost 101 and I'm still alive
Doing
at
something right.
37,
Yeah.
what'd you say?
They're doing something right, right?
Yeah. So I think peanut butter should be out of there. But I mean, I think they try to catch you, or they try to
Yeah.
just see like reactions. But it's interesting because, and I'm happy you brought it up, Ryan, because there's some really weird questions that the NFL or Major League Baseball, like the NFL, say, I think they said to Jay Bromley, how many different things can you do with a paperclip?
I don't even know. How do you answer that? A
So
bunch?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you get drafted. Bring me into, where were you? What were you doing? Who were you with the moment you got drafted?
Yeah, so I didn't want anything like I didn't have like a super like huge watch party. Obviously, I had an idea that the second day of the draft probably was gonna be the day I got picked. I had my grandparents over, my mom and dad's parents, a couple friends. I would have had them all over, but a lot of them had work or they're out of town. So I had two of my friends, my brother's girlfriend was here. Um, and yeah, I had it on in my living room, and then I got like a little game room me and my brother hang out in, and I had it on in there. And I kind of just wanted to be away from everybody, so I was in the game room. Um, and yeah, it was pretty quiet up until the end of the fourth round. And I was getting a little discouraged, you could say. And then my agent Mike Bonanno, he said, teams are starting to call. You're moving up on boards. In about 10, 15 minutes, it's gonna start picking up. If it's gonna happen here in the fifth or sixth round. And he said, I just got a call through like a couple teams, and then he called me like a minute later saying, the Brewers, they're gonna get you here they're gonna try to get you here for their pick. And I was like, yeah, no, that'd be awesome. I obviously I'd love it. I'd love it to happen. He's like, nah, their general manager just called me. It's happening. They just picked you. I'm like, awesome. So I knew about 7 picks before. So I came in, told my family, and we're all standing there. Obviously everybody else got their phone out, recording the TV. But yeah, and I guess that happened. It was awesome. I can't say in the most humble way. I'm not surprised. I expected it to happen. All the hard work and dedication to the game. But yeah, that's how it went down.
And to me, I think it's so cool that you knew 7 picks before, because you essentially got to experience it twice. You got to
Exactly.
tell everybody that was with you, and
Yeah.
then you got to all watch it on the screen. And then they knew, like you said, to record so that they could all get it on their phones and whatnot. So, I mean, for you, that had to be pretty cool to hear it, to know it, and then to stand there. So when you're standing there with the whole family and pick 155 comes up and it's the Brewers, was it dead silent in the house? I mean, what was it like?
No, everybody started. There was a lot of tears, honestly, from everybody. I think obviously happy tears. Everybody was just happy because I think everybody knows the amount of work I've put in, the sacrifices, the just everything that's gone into it. And to see that it finally paid off was definitely, it's a good feeling for sure. And then, after that happened, everybody started finding out. I had some family friends come over later that night. We just celebrated. And yeah, I'll be leaving Sunday morning, flying out of Syracuse at 8 a.m., heading out to Arizona.
Yeah, and I mean it happens that quick. It's just with
Hmm.
a snap of a finger. So why, when you said in the most humble way possible, I believed it was going to happen, I put the work in. What is it about you as a person and a baseball player, when you put the whole package together for Ryan Birchard? Why did you believe that you had done enough to get drafted? What is it about you and your game that you felt like, hey, it's draft day, here's the draft. I got a couple days to get into this thing. What makes you believe that Major League Baseball saw something in you? What did they see, in your opinion?
I think they saw. So, in my opinion, everything I've learned, a lot of it, I've taught myself through TikTok and YouTube. I think they saw somebody young and little coaching that they could probably just mold to exactly what they want. And that's what I believe was a big selling point on myself. Also, performing this year at school and in the draft league, especially the draft league. I think the draft league helped me tremendously. But yeah, I'd say that's, and like I said, I was humble, and I think that's what I credit to, it happening. And yeah.
Bring me into the draft league to the people that didn't know just what you did there, how it came up, just paint a picture for the draft league for us and why you thought that was so helpful.
Yeah, for sure. So I was supposed to go to the Cape Cod League with Brewster Whitecaps. They called me like 2 days before saying they had too many people show up and they got to release me. I'm like, well, that sucks. But, so I called my agent, my advisor at the time. He turns my agent when I get drafted, Mike Bonanno. I'm like, hey, they just called and they released me because too many people showed up. He's like, okay, great guy, by the way, Mike Bonanno. He's like, okay, let me make a call. So he called the president of the draft league. He's like, hey, yeah, we're going to send him to Trenton. If you want, just for now, because my agent's got a couple other kids on the Maryland team. I think they're called the Frederick Keys. And he's like, yeah, you just stop in Trenton because Frederick's on a road trip right now for like 7 days. They won't be home. So we want to get you your innings. So we'll just send you to Trenton right now. And if you like it, you can stay. I was like, okay, yeah, cool. And so I went down there, and the coaches, the guys, a great group of guys. It was awesome. So obviously I decided to stay there. And I was upset when I had to leave, but it was my time. I was only there for about 2.5, 3 weeks. We had a lot of kids drafted. We were really good. And, yeah.
So from the Trent, you go from the Thunderwolves to the Thunder, so it feels pretty
Yeah.
kind of concept, and the colors similar. So
Yes.
What did you take away from the Trenton Thunder in the draft league? How did they make you an even better pitcher?
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't a lot of, I'd say, not like mechanic. You could think like pitching, like mechanics, or like they're not teaching you much. They're more teaching you about like how professional baseball works.
Yeah.
Like unwritten rules. I guess you could say a clubhouse, a game, or how you're supposed to act around, fans, blah blah blah. But yeah, the pitching coach Sean Chacon played 8 big league seasons. He's an all-star drafted in the 3rd round. I was just picking his brain for the longest time. Just seeing, just listening to him, because obviously he was doing something right to stay in the major leagues for that long. So yeah.
And when you look at guys from the state of New York and from Central and Upstate New York that are in the league right now and on the mound pitching, we look at Pat Corbin, who came from Cicero North Syracuse CNS and went on to my Arizona Diamondbacks in 2012, was with the Diamondbacks, hung on for 6 seasons there before jumping over to the Nationals for the last 5. Does seeing somebody like Pat Corbin from Central and Upstate New York, does that give you hope when you see somebody come from here in Central and Upstate New York and make their way and get themselves drafted and then not only be drafted, but to come up the ranks, go through the farm system, and now be in the league for many years? We're looking at over a decade that he's been.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Because I think a lot of people, if you know Corbin, you probably know a story about, like how he started, and he think it was like he never played baseball before, blah, blah, blah. Then he ends up getting drafted, and now he's in the major leagues. But yeah, for sure. There's a bunch of guys from upstate New York that, have been drafted in the major leagues. And another one's Tim Castro from Auburn. But yeah, for sure. It just makes me, their names are always, paraded around town, I'm sure. They should just say, yeah, oh yeah, I know Timmy, or I know Corbin. But yeah, I'm just hoping I could be the next name that people know, especially out of Central New York.
So what is it about your game, Ryan, before I let you go? What do you think are the best pieces of your game when you get on the mound? What is it about you that makes you special, that you think is going to catch the eye in the farm system to raise you up from level to level?
I just think, in my eyes, I hate the other team. I hate everybody, like I'm a competitor. I just want to win. I want to compete, and I want to beat the other team. Yeah, and I think I'm a great team guy. I'm easy to get along with. I make friends pretty quick. But yeah, I just, I'm all friendly and fun and games off the field. But once it's my time to be on the field, it's strictly business. But yeah, that's what I think probably help me move up quick.
Do you like when you look at the farm system, it's so different than any other sport. You could be the number one pick, or you could pick 155 like yourself. You could be any one of the picks over 600 players that are drafted, and you all have to go to the farm system. You all have to work through it, and there's single A, double A, triple A, and then hopes to get to the majors. So bring me into the farm system and what you like about it. And do you feel like there's an even playing field, that a pitcher from LSU or Florida, and then a pitcher such as yourself, depending on how you perform in your farm system, we can have guys drafted at different times, different rounds, go higher than somebody that was drafted higher than them based on work ethic and based on what a team needs. So do you like the farm system, and do you feel like it kind of erases the draft pick that you are and really just comes down to what you do in that moment?
Yeah, for sure. I know, obviously, like NBA, NFL, if you get picked pretty high, you're going straight to, you're gonna be on TV like the following season. For most draft picks, the earliest someone usually gets up to the big leagues after you get drafted is like probably maybe a year and a half, 2 years. There's only a few kids that been drafted, gone straight to the major leagues. But one of the guys that probably recently did it was Ben Joyce. I think he was in the minor leagues for like not even a full season. He was on the big league club pretty quick. But yeah, like you said, I think it does kind of erase, because everybody starts at the complex league, I think, or single A, and it's you could have been the number one pick, or you could have been the 500th pick, but you're still in the same place, and you got to perform to move up.
Yeah, so we have the opportunity to see you. How much do you know about the Brewers before we get into something called Rapid Fire, which will round out this broadcast, where you and I get to put each other on the hot seat? It can be about baseball, or it could be about anything in the world. Before we get to that, Milwaukee Brewers, just what you could say about how much you know about the organization and about the pitching staff that they have right now. Just what makes you excited to head to Milwaukee?
Yeah, for sure. I know that they got a lot of homegrown talent. They develop pitchers very well. One of those names in the top of MLB is Corbin Burns, and obviously he's a homegrown talent there, and I think they really buy in to not just their pitchers, obviously all their players, but especially pitching. They're not a huge market team. I guess you could say they can't go out and buy talent, so they're gonna put all their money they got into developing talent, and that's what I think I need. I just can't wait to get out there and just get it started.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. Excited to have you out there. I know you talked about your brother, and I know that you put out on social media that there's some excitement to be had, or you reposted about Owen, and just what you could say about what Owen's been doing out there. And been watching a video of him here in the studio while we've been talking. What can you say about Owen as he's a 2024 prospect?
Yeah. He's actually sitting right. I can see him right now. He's just staring at me. He's smiling. He's been looking at me the whole time. So he's been over here. But yeah, he should have some things coming up here hopefully soon. Okay. Hopefully they're making decisions somewhat soon where he's going to be going to school. Not next year, but the following year. But yeah, he's a great kid. We work together. If I need something, we're gonna go right after I get off. We're gonna go play catch. We're gonna go throw. But yeah, we kind of push each other. We work together. Even though we got different, like I guess you could say, throwing programs or workout regimens. We just push each other, and we both want the same thing. Obviously I just got drafted here. That's kind of what I was, pushing for my whole career. Now the next thing is making it to the major leagues, and I'm sure he's gonna his next step after he decides to go to school somewhere is get drafted and make it to the major leagues.
Do you think I'm going to be sitting here a short while from now talking to another Birchard that's going to the majors? Will I be talking with Owen?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, fair enough.
If he gets the opportunity, I'm going to say I would not be surprised. It's definitely there. Yeah, I think he just needs to be, critiqued a little bit, learn a couple things. Okay. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't be surprised.
That coming from Ryan Birchard here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, from the Auburn Maroons to the Niagara County Community College Thunderwolves to the Trenton Thunder, in getting himself ready for the draft and being drafted in the 5th round, 155 overall, to the Milwaukee Brewers. It's time to play rapid fire. We get to put each other on the hot seat. Neither one of us has prepared any question. So I have no idea what Ryan's going to say, and he has no idea what I'm going to say. Ryan, you get to ask me the first question. Could be music, movies, TV, baseball, anything. You get to ask. Go ahead.
All right, so we'll go right now. Oh boy, I gotta think. I'm probably gonna go with music. I'm a big music guy.
Okay.
What's your favorite genre of music? I say, yeah.
My favorite genre of music. It's a cross between. Oh man, it's probably.
It's a tough question, I think.
It's hip hop, R&B, and country. They're all kind of together. It depends on my mood. It depends on where I'm at. But if I'm like getting ready to do a show, I kind of picture it like that music that comes up right before you get on stage. I'm going to need some type of, probably some type of hip hop, and then some R&B comes here and there, country, depending on how I feel. But there's a bunch of songs that kind of like amp me up and get me ready. And I would say that's probably living in like the hip hop and some of it pop universe, I'd probably say.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
All right. Well, you're a music person. So if you could go on tour with any band or singer, who would you go with and why?
Who else? I'd have to say Riley Green. Country. I'm a big country guy. That's one. I just love his music. I have yet to see him. I saw Morgan Wallen when he came to Syracuse here last year. Awesome time. I love Morgan Wallen too, but I'd have to say I like Riley Green more. He doesn't come up around here, so hopefully, maybe when I'm in the minor league somewhere, he'll be on tour around wherever I am. But if I had to go on tour with him, why? He just seems like a good time. He just seems like a good time. Yeah.
All right. What's your next question for me?
Favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time? I would have to say that's tough. I'm a movie guy, and it's something that I want to work on in my career because I want to screenwrite, and I've done some practice with that. I would have to say, oh man, favorite movie. There's so many different ones. I love Liar Liar with Jim Carrey. I can recite the whole thing. I love my Marvel movies, the original Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite. I was in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 as an extra.
Really?
Yeah. So I got to be in the chase scene.
Okay.
At the beginning. So I would say, yeah, I'd probably say Spider-Man because I never thought I'd see my favorite character on screen. I'd say Liar Liar for comedy. And yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of movies that have inspired me to just want to write, want to do certain things. There's a lot of good movies. I'm a big Angels in the Outfield fan too.
Angels in the Outfield. I didn't think I've never heard of Angels in the Outfield, but okay. Gotcha.
You gotta watch Angels in the Outfield. Good movie. I like Back to the Future too. That's also a good one I like. Yeah. So, all right, Ryan. If you could go into any movie universe, if you could jump into a movie universe, real or fake, and it could become your reality and you live in it, what movie universe would you go to and what character would you be?
Okay, so this is I'm gonna have a terrible answer here, I think, because my favorite movie is Goodfellas, but I don't think I want to live that life.
Okay.
Sure. But that's my favorite movie, but for sure don't want to live that life.
Okay.
If I had to say, I don't know. I like the Moneyball thing because it's just like being, but like I don't like the whole, how they were bad, blah blah blah, But then they started to be good. So I'd probably say Moneyball, just to go with the baseball thing. But yeah.
All right. Yeah. I like Moneyball. I can respect that. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and what would you be working within the organization? I'm guessing.
I feel like. Yeah, or I'd be a player just like on the team and just seeing how they went from like bad to good, just living through it. Kind of like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's your last one for me?
So yeah, it kind of piggybacks off the favorite movie type thing. Do you prefer to watch movies or like TV shows? Because I love to watch like movies. I'm not like a big like TV show guy.
Okay.
But
I would say I probably prefer movies over TV shows because the TV shows I watch are kind of like movies.
Yeah.
So, because I watch like a bunch of the Marvel series like Secret Invasion and whatnot. So I I really like movies. I mean, I would go to a movie once a week. I
Yeah.
like
Okay.
going to the theater, sitting in the theater, shutting my phone out, like shutting everything down for a couple hours and relaxing. So I'd probably say movie over TV because
Okay.
I don't really watch as much TV anymore. I typically will go back and like watch a show that's, I'll wait until like a bunch of episodes come out and then I'll go and watch that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
All right. My last question for you, Ryan. If your brother, since he's there, if your brother had to describe you in 3 words, what 3 words
Oh
do
boy.
you think that your brother would use to describe you? So if I was here right now, sitting
Uh,
in having a conversation with Owen, what would you say?
you'd probably say I'm annoying.
Okay.
Honestly, you'd probably call me annoying. Um, I'm going to use that as one of them. Annoying.
Okay.
Just 'cause I think we annoy each other sometimes. Um, I could say the same thing about him for sure. So, um, but I think he would say hardworking and
Okay.
dedicated was the other two, because I think he does see it, because I mean we do it together, we do it all together. When I'm home, it's every day we're doing something together. We're just working at our craft, which we happen to both be right-handed pitchers. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. I like it. Well, with that being said, for Ryan Birchard, from the Auburn Maroons to the Niagara County Community College to now Major League Baseball, being drafted in the 5th round, 155 overall to the Milwaukee Brewers, and now has an opportunity to work his way through the system. Ryan, you get the last word. What do you want to say to people out there of any age that are fighting for their dreams and are maybe afraid to chase their dream or wondering if they should chase their dream? What would you say?
Yes, for sure. I think you got to make some sacrifices there. Um, you're gonna have to make sacrifices of, not gonna be able to hang out with your friends here, go there, because you gotta stay home and stretch. You gotta get mobile. You gotta be able to move well on the baseball field. And some people who don't really understand it, they're gonna be like, oh, that stretch, like what? You're like, like stretch. Like, and then everything that just happened for me, and it's like that's why you do it. You do it till you're not doing it for something maybe then in time, but for something, because you plan on being somewhere in the future, and it all pays off. And then now people understand why you couldn't go hang out today, you couldn't go do this that day. I guess you just gotta buy it, and you gotta work hard, and hard work will pay off for
Well,
sure.
I firmly agree that. I live that every day. Hard work really does pay off. I say that all the time. So, Ryan, I know it's the first time you've been on the show, but I look forward to continuing to keep in touch with you through your journey. And I would love to have you back on and see what you're doing in the Brewers farm system and as you grow and blossom here. But congratulations. Thanks for representing Central and upstate New York so well. And I definitely look forward to having you back on soon.
Yeah, for sure. We'll stay in touch. Yeah.